So CeMAP has changed. It is a bit of a nightmare from what I have been looking online. It's changing as of 2026. I've already done a video on this, and you can check that out in the show notes if you want to, but I have to get the expert on to talk about it. So I've brought on my friend Charlotte Hemingway from Future in Finance. She's all over my content, all over my channel. You've probably seen it before. And she is the expert, my go-to expert anyway, when it comes to all things CeMAP. And so I've got the 10 most asked questions that are currently online, all about these new CeMAP changes. What do they mean? Can you like keep your old ones? All these weird and wonderful stuff. We're going to unpack all of those today. Well, I hope we are anyway. And we're going to actually listen to somebody who knows exactly what they're talking about. Charlotte, welcome to the show again.
Ash, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and it's great to be back and dig into the scary stuff that's coming up, which actually isn't that scary at all, but it kind of feels that way with what I've been reading on the internet.
It definitely feels scary. Yeah. So let's just dive straight into it, people, because everyone who's watching this will know who you are anyway. And if they don't, they're going to check you out. It's all in the show notes. But what is replacing CeMAP in 2026? Just give us an overview. What's actually happening in 2026? What's the hype?
So, for a bit of context, they change it every year slightly. So, every September, we expect some sort of update, but usually it's like a 2-page PDF. This year, it's a big change in the sense of CeMAP 1, so the first exam you would usually do, they've announced that they're actually putting the whole thing in the bin. They're getting rid of it. So, CeMAP 1, as of kind of September, October this year, which I'll come on to, will exist no longer. And actually, what they're replacing it with is an existing qualification already. It's the first exam you would do if you're studying for your diploma in financial advice. So it's called Financial Services Regulation and Ethics, or FSRE, as everybody likes to refer to it too. And it does exist already. It's just attached to a different qualification. And what they've said is all of CeMAP 1 is going to go in the bin, and they are going to have this qualification replace it. The big difference is where your CeMAP qualification is currently what's called an RQF level 3, which is just like the grade of qualification that it is. The new CeMAP 1, or the FSRE exam, is actually going to be level 4 instead. So we're expecting it to be a little bit more difficult.
So just a question on with this, because this is the one I've seen in the Facebook CeMAP Facebook group that I know we're both part of, and it's a phenomenal group. People should check it out. I actually put a video, which is a short video introducing this, which was you that made me aware of this. Because like I said, you're my go-to for all CeMAP stuff. I just get updates from you as to what's happening. When I put it in there, someone in there said, this happens every year. There's always changes. You're making a big deal out of this. It's not what people think. And obviously, I'd got my information from you, so I was thinking, I think you're probably wrong. But what would you say to people who think that? Because that type of information was definitely out there when I put that video out there. People put it in the comments. People put it in the comments on the group. What's your kind of message to them?
I totally get where they're coming from, because Walbrook Institute, or LIBF, actually haven't announced the change yet officially. So I had a call with their head of learning and development a few weeks ago. They said they were going to be putting some communication out to all of their students last week. We haven't seen that email come out yet, but there was a bit of a miscommunication from a couple of different places. So that's why I jumped on the call with them and thought, actually, let's get it straight from them. And then at least I know what I'm feeding out. So yes, it does change every year, but it's a massive change this year, and that's directly from them. That's not just the hearsay, he said, she said.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it is out there. Like I said, if you use ChatGPT to just look it up, because I did it because like I said, that video that I made on it, I have no idea. I had to ChatGPT and go, what are the changes, and get it to write me a script. Anything where it's like news like that, I'm like, I don't know what it is. And even you were like, I don't know what it is. And I think you released your podcast about the day before I released that video. I saw your podcast where you're talking all about like, what is it? So it's an interesting one. So when you do the new CeMAP, sorry, let me get that again though. So when do the new CeMAP changes come into effect? So when are they actually gonna change? When is the kind of cut-off dates, so to speak?
So they kind of stagger in it, and there's a few key dates that people need to be aware of. The big one is the 29th of September this year, so 2025. As long as you've registered for the CeMAP 1 exam before that date, you actually have till the 12th of January to sit it. But if you pay for it the day after, or if you register for it from the 30th of September, you are automatically enrolled onto the new syllabus. So there is kind of a risk of people who are studying for CeMAP 1 now, they'll be studying diligently with the current material. if they register or pay for the exam after the 29th of September, they will automatically be enrolled onto the new stuff. And actually, internally on the system, it's the 10th of November that the change takes place. So any exam that's sat after the 10th of November this year, if you paid for it after the 29th of September deadline, that's when it comes into force. So what I'm trying to say to people at the minute is, okay, pay for it before the 29th of September. You then have till the 12th of January to sit the material that we have now. Because the thing that providers like me are going to be facing is rebuilding absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that what I do works so well is because I have such a close relationship with all of my students. They feed back, I build more material. After the deadline, it all goes in the bin and I start again from scratch. So actually, if people want to do it, I'd probably say to them, do it now.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take. I know what you mean with that. When something changes, everything changes. It's it's like I know what you mean, because I have it with my coaching programs, how like everything is just done by client feedback. So the more they, the reason it's got better is because they feed it back to me and I'm like, okay, change it, or add this or add that. So yeah, you're effectively wiping the slate clean. So all the information, all of the amazing content you've put out there over the years, it's not going to be irrelevant, so to speak, but you don't really know. We don't know what it's going to be. So it could be completely relevant. It could not be completely irrelevant. It's a kind of a hard one.
It is a tough one. I'm working through the new material at the minute to try and build stuff, and I found that actually a lot of it really closely aligns. So it's not going to be like you put the entire textbook in the bin and you're reading about all new material. It is very similar. So you're going to get the same kind of investments, gilts, that kind of stuff that comes up already in CeMAP 1 will come up in the new stuff, but the exam itself is going to look different as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been stuff I've read about it. And then so just to clarify for that, so you can still complete the current CeMAP if you've already started. So if you're currently going through it right now, you could still complete it. It's not a deadline. It's not like it's over now. You've got until that January kind of time to make sure it's done.
And even if people, let's say somebody's already registered, maybe they're doing a resit, all of their resits up until that 12th of January will still be on the old material. It's not like the pressure is on to pass it first time. Their resits are registered on the old stuff until the January date as well. So people are kind of safe in that respect.
And then at that January date, just to kind of literate people, that's when it's like, all bets are
Yeah,
off. You've got to go back to the beginning. Everyone's back to the drawing board.
exactly.
Okay. This is good. I'm learning stuff as well for everyone listening to this. This is good. So you call it the FESRE? FESRE? Just so I get it right. So because I've been
FISRE,
SFSR
yeah,
already.
and I only got that. Sorry, FISRE is what I got from having the call with Walbrook Institute, and that's how they. So I was like, okay, cool, that's how we're pronouncing it now. But it stands for Financial Services Regulation and Ethics.
They've also changed the Walbrook Institute. From what I see, that's become they're getting rid of, is it the LIBF? Is that right? It's going
I thought they
slowly.
were rebranding, but they said actually they're not rebranding. They're still going to be LIBF under Walbrook Institute because Walbrook Institute offer qualifications not just in finance. So they're going
Okay.
to say LIBF, but they're going to categorize themselves as being under Walbrook Institute. So they've kind of amalgamated the two as opposed to just putting LIBF in the bin.
Okay, cool. That's definitely not what I've seen online, so that's interesting. That's a really interesting point. So with this FESRE is going to get, because I've been saying, or FSRE, because they say, how do you say it? So it's a new qualification, and you said it's harder, or it potentially is. So my question for this is it harder from what you've seen from the study material already than the current CeMAP one? Because I understand it's a level 4. Could you just kind of give us a bit of insight as to what your take is already? Is it significantly harder, a little bit harder, or not much real change?
The biggest change is going to be the fact that CMAP 1 as we know it is 100 multiple choice questions. Everybody knows that that's the format and they're pretty comfortable with that. But with FISRE, there are multiple choice questions, but some of them are related to case studies, which is what you have in CMAP 3. So with the FISRE exam, you're going to have, I think it's 5 questions with 3 case studies. So you'll have a case study with 5 questions attached to it. We don't see that in CMAP 1, and actually that's a real blocker for people with CMAP 3. So I think just off the back of that, it will be more difficult for people because we're already in the first exam having to apply what we've learned into real scenarios. And before, we could do CMAP 1 and 2 before we had to get into the nitty-gritty of that stuff. So I think, yes, it is going to be harder from what I've seen and from the conversations that I've had. It makes sense as well because it is a level 4 qualification. It says it's a higher grade, so we can assume it's probably going to be a bit harder as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This one isn't one of the questions searched, but what's your take on it being more being more practical? Because from my understanding and from my experience, like I said before, I didn't do CMAP, I did CII, but they're similar things. They're exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if you actually do them, they're pretty much the exact same. They just come different names. But the world application in the current CMAP is horrendous. The actual stuff you learn is so outdated and or not relevant that the learning curve, which is again what my entire channel is dedicated to, really is that kind of help people get into that career and then building a good career of it, is so steep. Do you think this that they're making moves to potentially ease that out a bit and to kind of smoothen that ride?
Definitely. I think it's a needed change. They were saying on the call that CMAP 1 hasn't changed in almost 2 decades. It's been the same stuff. And when you think about how much has changed in the last 2 decades, that's a massive amount. And there's so much of CMAP 1 that is just outdated. When I teach it to people, I say, look, 98% of what we do in this course, you will probably never use in your career as a mortgage advisor. Let's just treat it as a tick box exercise. So I like to think that this stuff with the application is actually going to be a lot more relevant and a lot more helpful.
Yeah, no, I agree. Which moves me on to my next question, which is what's changing the structure of CMAP 2 and 3? Because there are changes happening in that as well, isn't there? There are things changing. They're getting more difficult and more practical as well. What's your understanding of that so far?
So there's been, again, a couple of different bits of information from different places. So I'm just going to feed off what the Walbrook Institute have said. Yeah. With CMAP 2, as it stands at the minute, it's still 100 multiple choice questions and it's currently split into 4 units. So it's like 20 to 30 questions per unit. They've said they're going to put that in the bin and instead it's going to be 2 units, just like CMAP 1 was. So it'll be 50 questions and 50 questions. I think partially one of the reasons for that is at the minute, if you fail 1 unit, let's say you fail 20 questions, you have to pay the same £180 resit fee to sit 20 questions. So when they change this, it will be, actually, you now have to pay £180 to resit 50 questions. So I think that's probably one of the reasons. They've said the content itself isn't undergoing a massive change, but that there is a chance that CMAP 3 is going to have a standalone bit attached to it. So what we know at the minute is CMAP 2 and CMAP 3, same textbook, same material. So you need all 29 chapters of the textbook for CMAP 2, the same 29 chapters to get through CMAP 3. They've said that with the change, they may be adding on an additional syllabus for CMAP 3. They didn't say whether it would be a separate textbook or whether it would be contained in the same textbook, but it seems as though there's going to be kind of a key difference between the two.
That's what I've read. So I've read CMAP 3, and it'd be interesting to hear your side on this. I've read that CMAP 3, they're looking at trying to create more practical advice, kind of case studies that can be used to teach the job, is what I've heard, which is not, again, that was just when I chugged it into ChatGPT and was like, what's happening? And it was saying these are the talk is that they're trying to look at that. So I didn't know what your thoughts are on that or understanding is.
I think with CMAP 3, because it's already case study based and application based, I'll be really interested to see how that changes. They actually didn't say that the structure of the exam was changing or anything with regards to the fact that it is case studies and multiple choice. They didn't say any of that was changing. So I'll be interested to see how it changes because they've not fed back anything yet.
That's really interesting to know. So what are the new case study questions that you know in the FSRE at all? If there's anything changes, anything you know, and how does it work? Is there anything that you could share with people, how it thinks, how the kind of inside information you've got on the kind of FSRE? I'm going to have to get my head around that.
So the majority of the questions are still going to be multiple choice. I believe there's less questions in the new FSRE exam. So there's less multiple choice, but then you have the 3 case studies. So 15 of your multiple choice questions are going to be case study related, and the rest will just be standalone ones, just like we have with CMAP 1 at the minute. But I don't have any information as to what those case studies might look like. I imagine they're kind of going to replicate CMAP 3 in a way, because you'll be provided with information about a client and then you have to pick the most appropriate option. And it makes sense to put that early on, because actually advice is the whole aim of the game here. So why not stick it in all of the exams?
So we're moving more into now your kind of space, as in this is all your space, but this is more into kind of what you do and how it works. So what would you say is the best strategy for somebody right now if they're watching this, listen to this, they found us on YouTube, and they're midway through their CeMAP qualification right now? So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but they're right through. They've maybe done one. They're studying for that 2 and 3 right now. What would your advice be to somebody? We're recording this in July. They've got that January deadline. What would be your advice to them on the strategy they should, one, your advice, and what strategy should they follow? Being you're an expert in this.
Get it done before the changes is my biggest bit of advice. Right now, we have a 6-month buffer. That is a massive amount of time. I think it's important to say as well, their CeMAP 1 will be safe. So even if they just do CeMAP 1 and then the changes come into effect for CeMAP 2 and 3, their CeMAP 1 will always be valid. They will not have to sit the new exam. That's always going to be kind of in the bag. Equally, anybody that's already a mortgage advisor is not going to have to do the FSRI if they don't want to, because they've already got CeMAP. But wherever you're up to with your CeMAP studies, I would absolutely advocate for getting it done now, because there's so much material out there, whether that's for free, whether it's through a paid platform. We kind of know what's coming. We know what's in there. So I know how to coach people to get the marks that they want in that exam. As of the change, everybody, students, learning providers, will be working on the back foot to try and then catch up. So to put it into context, with my students and my e-learning platforms, it takes 6 weeks of part-time study to get through it. So if we're looking at the end of July now, if somebody were to enroll onto something that would boost their studies, like an e-learning platform, as long as they can put in 5 hours a week, they will be clear through their CeMAP 2 and 3 exams in 6 weeks. That then gives them an extra 3-month buffer just in case they don't want to do 5 hours a week, which I can completely respect. If it is that they're working from the textbooks, it would be a little bit more challenging, only because the recommended time frame for working with the textbook is 6 months, but that doesn't mean it can't be done with things like flashcards and free podcasts and all that kind of stuff. They will be able to level it up. But I would definitely say to anybody that thinks, actually, can I get it done now? Do it.
Yeah, push through. You're way more nice than me. If you haven't got 5 hours to do studying a week, don't do the job. Like you're way too. You're. I was sitting there thinking, I've just been at an event yesterday. I told you before, and I'm like so rubbish at being like placating to average stuff. If you don't have 5 hours, don't do the job.
Yeah, I am much nicer than you.
Which is why they'll come to you before they come to me. I'm horrible because I don't see. And I agree with you. I think that you can get through that in 6 weeks if you're really do it with the material you have. Like I said, you will help people on all different levels. I'm dyslexic and ADHD, and how we kind of bonded is that your content is there to help people in that way. So I think it's a phenomenally doable thing. And yeah, so my question then to you is, let's talk about that study material that's coming. So will there be with you, what's kind of your plan with the study material and support material for the updated exams within Future in Finance? What's the kind of goal? Because this is going to upheave your entire business model as well. Well, not really, but in a way. So where's your kind of plan with this?
This is ultimately the set fire to it and claim on the insurance job is what I'm going to be going through at the minute. So it's great because I'm really excited to build something new. The stuff that I've got works great, but I've learned so much since I built it. I've kind of needed the kick to be like, Charlotte, just get it done and do it better. So that's what I'm doing right now. I have the advantage of the fact that I have the FSRI material that I'm currently working on. So I'm hoping that by the November deadline, which is when the exam changes in the first instance, so the 10th of November, my course will already be live and ready to go. So anybody that does want to get it done kind of in that darkened window, the material will be there for them.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of late nights, but I'm looking forward to it.
So if people want to learn more about what you do, let's just so if anyone doesn't know who you are, which I'd be very shocked, what is it that you like? What is it that you do? Explain to the audience, because obviously you're an expert in CeMAP. In my opinion, you're the expert. But kind of, this is your time to kind of let us know.
So for anybody that hasn't heard of me before, hello, I'm Charlotte. I could not get CeMAP qualified for love nor money, and I say that with working with the textbook, doing fast track courses, paying for e-learning platforms that expired, all of that. Still really, really struggled. I think a part of that was the fact that I was dyslexic, and a part of it was just life got in the way, like it does with everybody else, which is why I'm really nice when I say to people, if you don't get to it, don't stress, it's there to come back to. But I got into CeMAP coaching because I couldn't do it. So I built something really to help myself get CeMAP qualified, which Ash, I know you ended up doing a kind of a similar thing when you were studying for CeMAP. And it grew from there. So I coach people at various levels dependent on what they want. My most popular product at the minute is my e-learning platform, which is a self-study CeMAP option. So ultimately, you can put the textbook in the bin if you want to, and you can study from a screen or on the go, because my whole platform says, okay, this is what we need to do to get you through your exam. Every single topic comes with video files and audio files and exam style questions. So regardless of what type of learner you are, there's stuff there to get you through that little bit. And it literally just takes you through it step by step. And then when you're through the next bit, it will say, hey, congratulations, you're ready for the first half of your exam. You finish the whole platform, you're ready to sit your exam, but it also comes with direct support from me. So anybody that enrolls onto stuff, and this is where I kind of differ from all the other providers, is you get my WhatsApp number and you can WhatsApp me at any point. And a lot of people say, Charlotte, it's not you surely it's not you. No, it is. And I will send voice notes to as many people a day as I possibly can to give them that support, because I think people already know they need skin in the game. They've already bought something, whether that's an e-learning platform or a fast track course, which we'll come on to in a second. But to have somebody there when it's 2:00 in the morning and you're like, I don't understand guilt, and can I just ask this question? To know that you will get a response from somebody who knows the textbook inside out is comforting, because ChatGPT is great. And I use ChatGPT every single day, but it's really interesting to see how wrong it gets it from a CeMAP context perspective, because ChatGPT pulls live data, right? So it pulls stuff from the internet. And even if you try feeding it the textbook and say, just give me the information out of the textbook, it can't do it. So sometimes having a live person that might take a couple of hours extra to get back to you than ChatGPT, but you know that it's right. Because half of my day now is spent saying to people in group chats, actually, just so you know, guys, for your exam, it's this, it's not this. So just make sure you heads up with that one. That's the e-learning platform option. It's study at people's own pace, and it's currently the only platform where you get lifetime access to it, in a sense of, if you have to put it down because it's the school holidays and you have parents in, you can pick it up guilt-free in 8 weeks and just not worry about time pressures. I also used to offer fast track courses, which was an intense 5-day masterclass with me where I teach you over Zoom, really small group. They are now fully booked for the rest of the year. And because of the changes, I won't be running them until I know exactly what needs to go out there in a fast track course. So they won't be continuing into 2026. That might change, but I'm hoping to do a lot more one-on-one coaching with people, which is something, because of my masterclasses, I don't get enough time to do it on a bigger scale. So I'm hoping to be able to take people on and almost have like an accountability run with them for 6 weeks, because that's all it takes. And if I can stay with somebody for 6 weeks and jump on one-to-ones or Zoom calls with them and get them through, I think that's going to change a lot more people's lives.
I love it. And like I said, I think you're the best in the business and you're the one I recommend for everybody. So I think that's absolutely great. Anything else you want to add to the whole thing today?
I think we've boxed everything off. One thing I would say is people are asking about a lot about what is safe from a qualification perspective. I know I mentioned it before, but if you're already CeMAP qualified, you're not going to be expected to do FISRI. Equally, if you've just done CeMAP 1, you're not going to be expected to redo it. You can do 2 and 3 on the new material. But if let's say you've sat CeMAP 1 and you've got 1 unit left to resit, you have to do it before the 12th of January. Otherwise, you will lose that unit. So you have to have passed the whole exam, which I think a couple of people aren't clear on just yet.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that question. That's a good point.
And that's everything I can give you for this one, I think. Thank you so much for having me, though. It's always a pleasure.
It's always, I love having you on the show. It's absolutely great. And we'll have you on loads of times anyway. We'll run this one out now. So if you enjoyed this one, be sure to click on this video on screen right now, which is actually a deep dive on what to do once you've got your CeMAP. So it's all the things of starting a career as a mortgage broker. It's on screen right now. Give it a click.